Hello there and welcome to the Outside Views weekly report on Scottish politics. Inverness and Cromarty Firth Green Freeport and Forth Green Freeport have been jointly selected by the Scottish and UK governments to become Scotland's first green freeports. Following a rigorous assessment and selection process, the two winning bids will be supported by up to £52 million in startup funding and will benefit from tax reliefs and other incentives through a combination of devolved and reserved powers. Applicants to become a green freeport in Scotland were required to demonstrate how they would contribute towards a just transition to net zero emissions by 2045 and create new green jobs. They were also required to set out how they would support high-quality employment opportunities with fair working conditions at their core. The Forth Green Freeport bid aspires to deliver up to an additional 50,000 jobs across the UK, generate £6 billion in investment and contribute over £4 billion in GVA across sites in Grangemouth, Rosyth, Leith, Burnsland and Edinburgh Airport. Its activities will focus on renewables, advanced manufacturing, alternative fuels, carbon capture utilization and storage, shipbuilding, logistics and the creative industries. The Inverness and Cromarty Firth bid aims to build a world-beating floating offshore wind manufacturing sector with sites in the Cromarty Firth, Invergordon, Nick and Inverness. It expects to create up to 25,000 new jobs and attract £2.6 billion in inward investment. In addition to offshore wind manufacturing, it will focus on green hydrogen and creating a new innovation cluster. The bidding prospectus set out by the requirements for applicants as well as the assessment and selection process. The Scottish Government will publish more information on the outcome of the assessment and selection process in due course, and you probably will hear about this in these videos. A total of 680 rural businesses with projects that protect the environment and mitigate the impacts of climate change will share more than £14 million this year from the Agri-Environment Climate Scheme. During a visit to Stagehall Farm in Selkirkshire to see firsthand how AECS funding will support their conversion to organic farming, Rural Affairs Secretary Mary Gowan also announced the next funding round, which will open from the end of January. The forthcoming round will target agri-environment support, organics and slurry storage options, and will support the ambition to double the amount of land under organic management by 2026. In addition, this year's £5 million Agriculture Transformation Fund will extend support for slurry storage. This support, which surpasses the previous targeted support that has been available under AECS, will help the sector meet the regulatory requirements introduced to improve the storage of slurry and digestate on farms. As part of changes to AECS, the area cap will be suspended for the conversion and not only the conversion to and the maintenance of organic farmland for AECS 2023 applications. The Agricultural Transformation Fund is intended to underpin support for the agricultural sector to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve efficiency, and enhance Scotland's natural environment through the period of transition. This support will help the sector meet the requirements of the Water Environment or Amendment Regulations 2021, or it's also called the Controlled Activities. To simplify applications and administrative procedures, ATF support for slurry storage will be accessed using the existing slurry storage option, which is available under AECS. The £5 million fund will extend the available support to all areas other than nitrate vulnerable zones. Emergency measures to protect tenants will be extended. Tenants Rights Minister Patrick Harvey has confirmed, with private rents capped and enforcement of evictions prevented in most cases. Subject to the approval of Parliament, changes to the Cost of Living Act will mean that from April 1st, If landlords choose to increase private rents, they will be capped at 3%. The safeguard for private landlords will be amended, allowing them to apply for increases of up to 6% to help cover certain increases in costs in defined and limited circumstances. Enforcement of evictions will continue to be prevented for all tenants except in a number of specified circumstances. Increased damages for unlawful evictions of up to 36 months' worth of rent will continue to be applicable. The rent cap for student accommodation will be suspended, recognizing its limited impact on annual rents set on the basis of an academic year. These temporary measures are intended to be extended to September 30th, provided they remain necessary, with the option to extend for another 6-month period if required. As announced in December 2022, the social sector rent freeze is being replaced with agreements from landlords to keep any rent increase for 2023 and 2024 well below inflation. A record number of Scottish domiciled students have enrolled at the country's universities. The latest higher education student statistics show the number of Scottish domiciled students studying at Scotland's universities rose from 180,170 in 21-22 to 183,025 in 21-22. There was also a record number of full-time Scottish domiciled first-degree entrants recorded, with 5,595 Scots from Scotland's most deprived areas entering university. That's a 41% increase since the establishment of the Commission on Widening Access. Scottish universities also saw a record number of students qualifying in 21-22, increasing by over 13% from 82,850 in 2021 to 93,000 a year later. Recognizing the pressure short-term lets hosts face at this time, legislation has been laid to extend the deadline for applying for a license by 6 months to October 1st. The new deadline applies to anyone operating as a host before October 1st in 2022. Anyone who started operating after that must have applied for and obtained a license before accepting guests and bookings. New hosts must now apply for and obtain a license before accepting bookings or receiving guests. Anyone who operating as a host before October 1st can operate as normal with the application while the application is being determined. In December 22, the Housing Secretary issued a letter to the Housing and Planning Committee confirming the intentions to amend the deadline of the scheme in the new year. The Scottish Government will undertake a review of levels of short-term let activity in early 2024. Regeneration projects in disadvantaged and rural communities across Scotland will receive a share of almost £27 million funding. The investment will support schemes tackling child poverty and addressing issues like addiction and suicide prevention, while creating jobs and growing local economies. It supports town centre regeneration by bringing derelict buildings back into use and creating new buildings for the community over commercial purposes. The latest round of funding from the Regeneration Capital Grant Fund, delivered in partnership with COSLA and local authorities, will help 23 community-based initiatives which will create and support more than 700 jobs and more than 500 construction jobs, along with hundreds of training places. Those initiatives include converting a derelict Motherwell sports pitch into a recreation area and community base to support groups at particular risk of suicide. Also transforming a former pipe factory in Glasgow into a community centre and creative hub for young people, including those with care experience. And renovating an empty derelict building in Lossiemouth into a community hub, providing services including affordable childcare, addiction counselling and debt advice. And establishing a 5-acre campus in Easter Ross to offer training in sustainable food production, promote zero waste and deliver courses focused on tackling food poverty and poor mental health. And this concludes this week's policy video on Scotland. Of course, I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.